Well, morning everybody. I was here last year and I said then it was an honour to come and address this conference and speak on behalf of firefighters and speak on behalf of FBU members. So it's fantastic to be here in the 20th year. And look, I'll start, and I will repeat a lot of what Rob has said, but I'll start by making this statement. Our union, firefighters, will not be just waiting and sitting idly by while they have this coronation of Andy Burnham. We will be getting on the front foot. That is why we were in Kent in Maidstone 2 days ago, demanding that they do not sack firefighters, that they do not close fire stations. Our message to Burnham or whoever comes in next is we're a fighting union, we're going to continue fighting and we're going to continue to win for our members. So I think it's only right that we set out demands. And look, the key one, number one, above inflation pay rises. Well, we've managed to achieve that in our union this year, and that is out to a ballot right now to our members to make a decision on whether they accept it. And it is only right that they have the opportunity to do that, and we're in that process at the moment. But look, the number one issue that firefighters and our members are facing right now are cuts to the front line. And we've been fighting back. You may have seen it, and I thank you, Rob, and others for the support that you've given us. Ali down in Southampton. We've really had to take this fight to them. I said when I came into office about 18 months ago, it feels a lot longer than 18 months, I can tell you. But I said then that there was no local issue, there was no local fight, and if you were going to close one fire station, if you were going to take one fire engine out of service in our communities, or you were going to get rid of one firefight, well then it was going to be a national issue. So we did that. We did that in Avon, we did it in Leicestershire, we did it in Oxfordshire. In Oxfordshire, they pushed us quite hard. We had to ballot our members, and they overwhelmingly voted to take strike action. Not an easy decision to take as a firefighter or any worker for that matter, but they voted to take strike action, not only to protect themselves, but to protect their communities. And I applaud those firefighters for taking that decision. And what that's given us is a foothold to any boss, Chief Fire Officer, CEO, they call them all sorts of names nowadays. Back in my day, it was a Chief Fire Officer, and they're making decisions now that are making firefighters less safe. But when firefighters are less safe, when you don't have a fire station in your community, you have less fire engines, less firefighters, well, it's you, your families, my family that are less safe. And we're saying enough is enough. So on to the political situation. A lot has happened this week, hasn't it? It seems a long time since Keir Starmer walked out at number 10 and nearly started to cry. I've got to say I didn't shed any tears. But look, I called for Keir Starmer as an affiliated union for him to step down in February. And some were saying then, let's give him a chance. Well, look, we knew the writing was on the wall back then. We saw what he did with the welfare cuts. We saw that we had to drag him kicking and screaming on the two-child benefit cap. That we knew the direction of travel from this government. We knew the direction of travel from Keir Starmer. And then we saw what happened in May at those elections. So our union, we've been calling for Keir Starmer to step aside. And yeah, I don't know if Andy Burnham will be the Messiah, but I'll tell you what we're going to be doing. We're going to be placing demands on him, similar to yours. Demands that are going to deliver for working class people and make sure that actually we're the ones that deliver that change. You can talk about hope. Well, people really need to see what that hope means. They need to see pay in their pockets at the end of the month. They need to see public services being invested in, that they can see the benefit of what they're working towards. I sat on the train today listening to a couple of older fellas talking about the state of this country. And they may be right, but then they quickly turn to what they think the alternative is. And they were spouting lines from the likes of Nigel Farage. They were spouting lines from the likes of Rupert Lowe. Well, we need to change that. So I got into a bit of a debate with them. I don't know if it ended well or not. We were all sat there pretty sweaty on a train. But at least I felt better by saying it's the bosses, it's the billionaires, it's not people coming to this country on boats. We need to change that narrative. And I'll pick up on a point that Rob talked about. I don't know how old, in comparison we are, Rob, but I do remember Thatcher. And look, we've lived with Thatcherism in my eyes for the past 40 years. And yes, we've seen a revolving door of number 10, and we have seen that. But we need to reflect on why we've seen that. It's because every Prime Minister that has come in recent years over the last decade has talked about the change that this country needs, that they're going to invest in public services, that they're going to deliver for working people. Andy Burnham is saying the same. But what we have seen is no change. We've seen Thatcherite economics, this trickle-down economics. I'll tell you what, that's not delivering for working class people. So if Andy Burnham wants to stay in the job for longer than 2 or 3 years, well, that's the narrative he needs to change. He talks about being bold. Well, he needs to be bold on the economic situation we find ourselves in. We need to see real change. And some of the things that I think we need to see change on. We need to see them not navigating themselves further to the right on immigration. We need to see them tax the wealth and the greed in this country. We need to see them properly invest and grow the public sector. We need to see a national care service and less privatisation in our communities. We need them to invest in education so the next generation, our kids, are well educated to deliver what this country needs. And we need to make sure that the likes of gas, water and energy are taken back into public ownership. So look, comrades, we face huge challenges, but we need to be part of turning that around. You're going to hear a lot of challenges that I've talked about just from the challenges we face in the fire service. You'll hear from the panel today lots of things that need to be fixed. Well, now I see it as an opportunity. Let's try and turn this around. I know the National Shop Steward Network will be there, as they always have been, when we take our fights forward. We've got big fights coming down the line in Kent. We've got big fights coming down the line in Dorset and Wiltshire. I know you'll be with us, and we'll continue to support the National Shop Steward Network for the next 20 years. Solidarity, and thank you.